Hey everybody, it's Chamber Matt from the South Kitsap Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to our 2023 general election candidate interviews. There are 9 races happening in the South Kitsap area, 5 for the city of Port Orchard, and 3 for the South Kitsap School Board, and 1 for South Kitsap Fire and Rescue. The South Kitsap School District will also have a capital bond on the ballot in November. As part of the series, we reached out to all 18 candidates several times to schedule an interview. All but 3 of the candidates responded. We asked all the candidates in each race the same questions, and none of the candidates had the questions in advance. I let the candidates answer the questions as best they could. I then spliced together the interviews so that you could have a side-by-side comparison. Big disclaimer here, I am not a professional editor. We did these interviews on Zoom, so please be patient with my editing. The Chamber will also be hosting an information forum for the school bond on October 11th at 5:30 p.m. upstairs at Whiskey Gulch, and a candidate meet and greet on October 26th, also at 5:30 at Whiskey Gulch. Come on out, meet the candidates, and hear about the school bond. Ballots should come out sometime around October 20th, and they are due back to the ballot box by November 7th. Thanks for watching. Remember to vote and make an informed decision. Hey everybody, it's Chamber Matt, and today I am joined by John Morrissey, who is running for the Port Orchard City Council, the position at large position. It's a 2-year position on the Port Orchard City Council. John, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So we're gonna this is a kind of an interview, and I would splice in the 2 answers from the 2 candidates running for the at-large position, and so that I'm not a professional editor, so at some point, folks, when you're watching the video, it may seem like I'm pretty amateurish, and well, frankly, I am an amateur a splicer. So I'm just kind of bear with that as we go along. And John, I got 7 questions here for you. And so if you don't have any other questions or anything for me, then we can just go ahead and kind of jump right in.
Let's do it.
So the first question, John, is some people think it's a tough one, but just basically tell us about yourself and why you decided to run for the Port Orchard City Council, and how do you think you can help the community?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, Matt, and thanks for hosting this on behalf of all your member businesses. I truly appreciate it. So my name is John Morrissey. I'm a resident here of McCormick Meadows here in Port Orchard, have been for the last 10 years. I was moved here by U.S. Bank at the time and found a great home in Port Orchard. Since then, my history has been in banking. I worked for multiple different financial institutions before landing the job of general manager here at Kitsap RV in downtown Port Orchard on Bay Street, where I've been for almost the last 2 years. I am extremely involved in our community. Most of my time has been spent in central Kitsap because of my previous job. And so I've been heavily involved in the merging of the Bremerton and Silverdale chambers to create the Greater Kitsap Chamber. I am the immediate past president of the Downtown Bremerton Association. I spent time on the board of Kitsap Community Resources, and as well as I am the current representative for Port Orchard on the Kitsap Public Facilities District that is bringing funding for the community event center that's going on our waterfront in the next few years. So through all that involvement here, I have continue to get involved in our community and focusing more and more of that here in South Kitsap. I've been asked many times to get involved in the public sector, meaning running for office in some capacity. And so through my time over the last couple of years working in Port Orchard, I realized I'm getting, and we are getting 4,500 new neighbors in the next 5 years or so, if everything goes as planned. That's a huge explosion in population. And so I want to make sure that we're involved in making sure that our city grows in a responsible and well thought out manner, because I want to make sure that our city remains a great place for our families and our future, making sure that we have clean spaces, parks, trails, roads. We have a healthy business community with options on where we want to spend our time and our money. So I want to work with all walks of life and leaders from within our city and the greater county and state level. And I think I have a skill set that lends a hand to that. So I'd like to help step up and be that person in our community on city council.
Outstanding. Thank you, John. So one of the things that you just mentioned, that is I don't want to say a trend, but it's mentioned a lot in talking with folks, and that is growth. You are right. We have a tremendous amount of growth scheduled for Port Orchard. And so this next question kind of deals with that. And I'd like to hear what your understanding of the Growth Management Act is. And then there's a follow-up question for this too. So, just first of all, what's the Growth Management Act?
So, the Growth Management Act is a state law that Olympia put in place. And really, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there around it and how it works. But really, it was designed for the folks over in King County. So what it's designed to do is keep urban growth in high density areas, meaning they want to keep our growth into a certain subsection of land that already exists so that there's no urban sprawl. That really was designed for King County, and most of the way that law was built centers around that. Also, the highest density, I get it, but it has adverse effects in a county like Kitsap that is growing at a very rapid pace. I think we're in the bottom 5, I believe, in actual land mass, but in population, it's kind of the opposite and continues to grow and is, I believe, the fastest growing. We are one of the fastest growing cities in the state. So that has adverse effect on some of our future planning and what we can and cannot do. And we need folks to get involved at the state level, because people think that it's a city issue, but we need folks in our city and representing our city down in Olympia, helping to spread the word on how it's having an impact in our communities that is adverse as opposed to helping other communities.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks. Good explanation. So part of that, so the follow-up question is the planning and development. So if the Growth Management Act was really, designed to affect King County and the higher density areas, and the rest of the state gets lumped in with this, what role does the Growth Management Act play in the planning and development within the city of Port Orchard? And what can the city do to bring the infrastructure up to speed?
That's a very large question there, Matt. And I think we could spend the rest of the day talking and unpacking that. So the long and the short of it is it puts some restrictions on our ability to grow outside of our footprint. And that includes some of the things, like you said, infrastructure, sewer, water, utilities, things like that. How many and where we can cut down trees, what is a significant tree, and things like that. While I'm all for the saving of trees, it has to be in the right place, right? And maybe we can offset that somewhere, because we're trying to, again, keep our density as best as we can to where it's at without restricting the ability to have, say, affordable housing. We keep talking about not having enough affordable housing, for sure in the greater Sound area, but just in general. We have restrictions that are put on us due to the Growth Management Act, due to some of the additional restrictions that were put around energy efficiency just last session in Olympia, that made the average price of a home almost $30,000 more than it was prior to that law. So there's a lot of things that affects, including our ability to have more affordable housing, the cost to build this housing as it moves forward, and the ability for us to be able to, as you said when you asked the question about bringing our infrastructure up to speed, how we can put that infrastructure and where, and the costliness for that to get done is all impacted by the Growth Management Act.
All right, super. So, John, you touched on an important issue, and that is affordable housing. And so this next question is not just about affordable housing, but it is about, and it's another one of those questions that we could spend another day discussing. We have homelessness, we have increasing public safety issues, we have a lack of affordable housing, infrastructure needs. There's increased development. We got inflation, which obviously is not anything that you can, affect. But we have all these things that are affecting the city and the residents. What should the priorities for the city be, and how would you address probably, I guess, the priority, which your kind of top priority, and how would you address the issue?
So specifically around affordable housing or homelessness?
Any of those.
All of the above?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like choose one, because what we've got is, there are so many issues facing it, and it's like, for me, it's X. For you, it's Y. What are your thoughts on overall for the city?
Yeah, so I think when people look, they're looking for that silver bullet, right? They're looking for what nobody else has thought about, and I don't believe that there is one, right? I think we've got to pull together a whole bunch of different things that affect that. Things from making housing affordable, relaxing so that we can get folks into some places, some restrictions that are creating a barrier to making housing affordable. Beyond that, we need to create some resources, right? When you watch other communities, homelessness has not had the effect in Port Orchard that it has in some other communities in Kitsap, but that doesn't mean that it's not coming. If we don't act now to make sure that we're planning for that for the long term. The Kitsap Rescue Mission opening in our area will have an impact on the amount of homelessness that we see on our streets and in our communities of Port Orchard. So we need to make sure that we're planning for that we ensure that we have mental health resources available, that there are transit available, and that we have beds available. If you just look across the water like I can as I look out my window here in my office in downtown Port Orchard, and think about what's going on currently as we speak here in September in Bremerton and their homelessness crisis, we've got to be proactive. We can't let it happen and then deal with it after the fact. So, some of the thoughts that I would like to bring is making sure that we have plans, right? When somebody's in an area camping, setting up shop where they shouldn't be, that the city has beds available. There again are things that we got some legislation from a federal court that basically made if we don't have a bed available for that homeless person, the police can't ask them to move. So we need to make sure that we're proactive on that end. And then we really, as I said earlier, have to advocate on the state and federal level to bring more resources so that this problem can be fixed. And I know that we can do that. I know that we can put our minds together. We can relax some of the restrictions on housing, as well as just take some development in having people support the trades, right? If we can get more people to build the houses so that they're not as expensive, we can make them quicker, faster, better, and we won't have the problems that we're seeing right now.
So one of the things you talked about the housing, and maybe more and faster and ideally a little bit cheaper in the long run. What do you say to the statement, we don't need any more apartments, we don't need any more housing developments in the city of Port Orchard. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's a tough one because I would say that depending on who's telling me that, I would say, I would respectfully disagree. It's coming. It's in the pipeline as we speak. The 4,500 new housing units that are coming, those are permits that are in. These are plans that we know are coming. So we need to make sure that, again, we are proactive rather than reactive in doing that. And it's not that we don't need just apartment buildings. It's not that we don't need just condominiums. It's not that we need single family housing. We need a holistic approach. We need a little bit of everything because it's not just uber rich moving in to our city. It's not folks who are on the lower end of the income spectrum either. It's everybody. We know that people are moving west from Seattle. They're now moving north. Take a look at what's happened in Gig Harbor. The transformation and the amount of growth I've seen in my 10 years is just going to continue moving north. South Kitsap's next, and we need to be prepared. So I think it's a combination. I think ADUs, I think duplexes, triplexes. We need to be flexible with those willing to invest in our community and make sure that it fits within the neighborhoods that they're planning and then work with folks, right? They got an idea, they want to bring something to us. Let's help them find a home for their project so that we can continue to create housing units in our area.
All right, great. So since we're the Chamber of Commerce, it would not be a good interview if I didn't ask a question about businesses and things like that. So I'd like to get your perspective on what role does the city play in economic development, and how can the city help local small businesses become more successful?
Great question, Matt. So I do believe that the city absolutely plays a role. It is very costly to open a business. It is very costly to operate a business. And we need a business-friendly city, meaning we need to have resources available. We need to support our Chamber of Commerce, who is out there recruiting businesses to our area that are developing businesses. People may have an idea and bring it to, say, the chamber. The chamber can connect them with the resources to be successful. But we need to make sure that the chamber has the resources to be successful itself. So I would be in support of anything to help the business community through our Chamber of Commerce. As you know, I'm the board chair of the Greater Kitsap Chamber of Commerce, and so I know the impact that we can have in both advocacy and resources. But we need to make sure that when a business needs to, I had an instance recently here in our business where before I got here, the owner had cut down some trees without a permit. It has been super costly, super taken a lot of time to get all the resources into the city to get that rectified, and we're still working through that. And so we need to make sure that we have a business-friendly climate that has help. One of the things I was needed was a landscape plan. However, the city couldn't tell me where I could get a landscape plan, meaning I said, well, do you have resources? Can you point me into a direction of somebody who might be able to do that? Well, we can't point you to a direct person, but this is what we're looking for. So we need to make sure that we have resources available so that the next person behind me doesn't run into that same issue and has to struggle to find somebody who can get what the city's looking for. So I think there's a lot of different ways that a city can impact business. And I have seen firsthand when a city isn't business friendly and the effects that it can have on its citizens. So I would absolutely be pro-business.
Outstanding. Thank you, John. So the last question, we're just flying through these. And so here we are, we're already there. Last question, John, why are you the best choice for the Port Orchard City Council?
I think my resume speaks for itself. I am a consensus builder. You don't go through a process like merging two chambers of commerce together in areas that have historically had a bad taste in their mouth, right? I remember the first time I brought it up to the board of the Bremerton Chamber of Commerce as its chair. And they're like, why would we do that? They stole all of our business in the 80s when they built the mall and took it away from Bremerton, right? So I think I have an ability to connect with folks, to be able to build consensus, that while not everybody always leaves 100% happy, that everybody leaves the table feeling like their voices were heard, and we have a plan to move forward that works for everybody. I haven't had the opportunity to interact with my opponent just yet, so I'm not sure the compare and contrast there that I could add any color to that. But I can tell you through my time and a commitment to the communities of Kitsap that I'd love to bring that to the folks here of Port Orchard in a different way than I already do today. And that's why I'm asking for the vote of the folks of Port Orchard.
All right, John, thank you. That wraps up this part. I want to remind everybody that the election is coming up on November 9th. Ballots should be dropping somewhere in the vicinity of October 20th. There are I believe, five races in the city of Port Orchard that are on the ballot. We have 4 city council and the mayor's position. We have 3 school board positions and the fire commissioner all on the ballot for the rest of South Kitsap. So it's really important that the citizens of Port Orchard get their ballots. They review the information, whether it is the voter pamphlets or whether it's the series of videos that we put together here, to make an informed decision, and most importantly, get your ballots in. John, thanks for stepping up. I know that you've been involved in a lot of different things in the community. This is just the next step, and it takes a lot of time. And if you don't know already, dude, you're going to be as busy as can be. If you get elected to the city council, so you'll be even busier. So you got to figure out what you have to give up to do that. But again, I tell all the candidates, thank you for stepping up. Thank you for putting your name on the bottom line. Thank you for submitting yourselves to the scrutiny of the public like this. And good luck come up on November 9th, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate what the Chambers does day in, day out, and I appreciate the opportunity to get my voice out to your members as well.
Thank you.